Hello and welcome. Today we've got Adam Shardlow and James Mason. And today we are going to be discussing how to profit when metals go down and how to be smart with your investment. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to our Telegram channels and to nicholasveniamin.com for my free email updates. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview, unless, of course, myself and the guests can choose their words wisely due to the insane censorship that's happening right now. Adam and James, thank you for joining me both. How are you and what have you been up to? We'll go with James first.
Well, we're levitating, Nicholas. We're that busy. I've said that to a few of the customers in the past. We're levitating. We're just super, super busy helping people. Because obviously a lot of people are, I think we've probably said this before, but they're really coming to realise that the riskiest place to have their money is in the bank. So we're helping them as best we can to get it into precious metals, into real money.
Absolutely. Honestly, I think you're both doing a fantastic job with education, with silver and gold, because we've lacked this type of education in our school systems. And you guys are doing this now in the alternative media, which we're not seeing at all on the mainstream media. So I applaud you both very, very much. And Adam, and also to you, how are you and what have you been up to?
Yeah, all good, thanks. Yeah, thanks for your compliment. We're kind of doing our best to fill that gap. And I don't know whether it'll ever be in mainstream education, talking about precious metals and how you can, look after yourself and your family financially. But yeah, we're doing our best. So good. It's just nice to see that we're putting stuff out there and the feedback we get is that people find some value in it. So yeah, we're busy, but very happy.
So where do we begin now with what you want to show today with the viewers? I believe you may have a PowerPoint presentation that you would like to go through.
Yeah, we want to talk about something that we've talked about before, but it took us a few times to fully grasp it. And we want to put a bit of a different spin on it today. Something that people might not think is possible and thinking, we're just saying things to try and grab your attention. But you can actually make free metals, you can profit when prices of metals go down. And that's like the next step, really. When people have realized that their paper money's at risk, they've step two, they've then said, right, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to buy some metals. The step after that, you kind of go, well, great, this is a long-term investment. It kind of just metals sit there, in a cold, dark room doing nothing really. But how do I maximize them? How do I take that to the next level? And that's really what we're talking about now. When prices are going up, everyone's happy. No need to do anything. But when prices are going down, if you can maximize in those times, then win-win.
Because add something to that, Adam. Most people, from our experience anyway, most people don't take the third step. They don't take the final step. They just buy metals and hold them, and that is it. But we're giving them an option to do something else, to do something extra, to actually create free metals out of seemingly thin air. And it isn't thin air. It does work. I mean, this really does work by switching between the metals. But we'll go through that now anyway.
Yeah. And just to say before we start, as we always say, we don't want to give financial advice. This isn't financial advice. This is just education. It's what we do for ourselves and why we do it. So, yeah, we want to empower you with education, not advice.
Okay.
Great.
Well, let's go for it.
Yeah. So if you've not heard before us talk about something called the gold-silver ratio, then the kind of origin of us finding that initially was people were asking us, well, is gold a good price? Is silver a good price? And we always said, well, kind of compared to what? What are we comparing? And the gold-silver ratio is something where you can compare gold with silver and silver with gold. It's a relative measure. What it is, very simply, is it asks the question, how many grams of silver can you get with 1 gram of gold? So, for example, if you take the price of gold per gram and you divide it by the price of silver per gram, let's say the price of gold is 43.26 and the price of silver per gram is 53 pence or cents, then the gold-silver ratio would be 81.62. Now, don't worry too much about how you get to that, and you don't need to actually work it out, find the price of gold and then the price of silver. You can literally search what is the gold-silver ratio, and it will churn out this one number. And it's a relative picture of the price of gold versus the price of silver. And you might say, well, that's great, but what do I do with it? What does it mean? How can I actually use that to benefit myself? Well, as a general rule, when the ratio goes up, gold is expensive and silver is relatively cheap. And when the ratio goes down, gold is cheap and silver is expensive. So if that ratio, that 81 goes to 85, then gold has become more expensive and silver has become more cheap. So that's how we start to use this to work out, well, first of all, which metal to buy. Yeah. This is what the gold-silver ratio looks like on a chart. And we put a few different numbers and lines and levels in there to give us some guidance. Otherwise, it just looks like a line on a chart, and it doesn't really mean that much. So we put a level of 60 on, which is around the average that the gold-silver ratio has been in recent times, a level of 80 and a level of 40. And what we do for ourselves is, if we're coming to buy metals, let's say we're coming to buy metals today, and we find that the gold-silver ratio is 60, meaning for 1 gram of gold, you can buy 60 grams of silver, we would buy 50% gold and 50% silver. Because what it's saying is the gold-silver ratio is kind of at the average. It's not convincingly pointing to gold, or it's not pointing to silver with any strong conviction. It's just in the middle. They're at this kind of equilibrium level. If it was 80 or above, then we would buy 100% silver. Because remember, when the gold-silver ratio, the number goes up, then gold is expensive and silver is cheap. And we always want to buy what is cheap. Think like a northerner. You always want to buy, get a good bargain, get a good deal, yeah? And that's what we want to do. So it gives us a guide of which metals to buy. If it was 40 or below, then we buy 100% gold. And it just means that we have an idea of which metal is good to buy. Anything to add to that, James?
No, that's brilliant. I think it's about 81. I haven't checked it just recently. I checked it earlier, but it's about 81, isn't it? So it's in the silver box right now, isn't it? And that's what we're on right now. We're buying all silver. And we share what we do in our Telegram group if anybody ever wants to jump on there anyway. Obviously, we'll never tell people what to do or advise. We don't believe in that, but we'll show people what we do. And at the minute, it's over 80, so we're definitely 100% silver personally ourselves.
Yeah. This is why as well, if you can see here, I'll grab this laser pointer. You can see why silver's got a lot of attention, because for the past, 8-9 years, it's been towards the silver kind of level compared to gold. So that's why people are looking at silver. If it was down here, then people would be shouting about gold. And silver would be expensive, gold would be cheap. You buy what is cheap. So that's something that everyone, regardless of where you are in the world, can use as a tool, as a frame of reference to work out what to buy. The second application of the gold-silver ratio is that we use it for is switching metals, actually moving from one metal to another. And this is something currently is available for people outside of the US. It's something we're working very hard to make available to US citizens, and that is simply switching between the metals. What we're doing by switching is, if you were doing it in the traditional sense, you would have gold, for example. You would sell it for cash. You would then take that cash and buy the silver. But the whole point of metals in the first place is to remove the cash. And the cash is the inefficient part of that process. So what we're able to do is to switch from gold to silver without going through cash. And that means it's far more efficient and far easier to make these free metals. You're not going to go through cash every time. Is this making sense where we're kind of coming from?
Absolutely. The other thing people are wanting, probably thinking right now, who are watching this, are if they wanted, do they have the choice of doing all of this physically and not just digitally?
It's all physical. Every single part of this is physical. Now, there's two main elements of physical metals. One is that you have in your hand, and another is where you have them in storage. They're still physical metals. They're still legally owned by you, but you don't have them in your hand. Doing it when the metals are in your hand, we've not seen a way that that's possible. There might be options out there that you can do it, but we've not seen it possible for a few reasons. It becomes inefficient very quickly. For example, when you're buying silver, you pay the VAT, the sales tax. If you store silver in the right way, it's still owned by you. It's not sat on any company's balance sheet, but you don't have to pay the VAT, the sales tax. So you're 20% ahead, 20% in the UK anyway. In other countries, it can be 25%. And you're 20 to 25% ahead already. Mm-hmm. And that's just one inefficiency. So it could be possible, but you would have to monitor it fairly closely. The way we do it, you don't have to. You don't have to monitor it that closely at all. And for most people that we chat to, they're not looking for to maximize their metals in a way that they have to look at a computer screen and stay up all day and night looking at graphs and charts and things like that. They're busy. They've got other things to do. So this is, we think, a good compromise between maximizing your metals, but it not taking every waking minute of your day.
Absolutely. Also, maybe one day we could, when we do another interview in the future, we could also bring a testimonial who's doing this.
Sure.
As well. And then we could speak to them and see how they're finding it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No problem. I mean, what we do to help people is we say, we give them the theory and the education. And then as a reference point, we post on our Telegram channel when we buy every 2 weeks. We buy every 2 weeks. And we post on that Telegram channel saying, today the ratio is 77, whatever. And therefore we are buying ... So you've got some real life data to check your learning against.
Yeah. And we'll even tell them if we held gold right now, we would be switching to silver.
Yeah.
We try and make it as clear as possible so people, understand it.
Yeah. So it might seem like possibly a little bit complicated now, but when you see the advantage, it's worth doing, and not that complicated once you get your head around it. So that's what we do. We switch from gold to silver, silver to gold. Practically, here's what it looks like. Let's say you start with 5,000 grams of silver, and you've got the silver, and you look, and the ratio is 51. Okay. We'll tell you why we're picking 51 in a second. So you look, and the gold-silver ratio is 51, and you choose to switch all of your silver into gold, giving you 98 grams of gold. Remember, a ratio of 51 for 1 gram of gold, you would get 51 grams of silver. So 98 grams of gold is what we get. That's there. Then the ratio changes, and the ratio goes to 59. And you decide to switch your 98 grams of gold back to silver. And it's only when you do a full cycle of, say, silver to gold and back to silver that you see the advantage, you see the gain. That would give you 5,784 grams of silver. So more silver than you started with. 784 grams of silver, more than you started with. Mm-hmm. At this point, you've not put your hand in your pocket. This is how powerful it is. Some people might say, well, I'm going to buy some metals and then I'm going to buy every month or every 2 weeks or every 6 months. And others might say, look, I'm buying metals. I don't have any more. I don't want to put any more in. How do I maximize? Exactly like this. You can make more metals without putting your hand in your pocket.
So you're saying you could have a one-time purchase, like a startup of, say, whatever you want to put. And then after that, it's all about the ratio to silver gold ratio, and then building on top of that, and then, mounting your capital on top of that without putting anything more from your pocket.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's it. And I'm aware at this point that all sounds too good to be true. But we said it in the last video when we talked about this. It's like having cash, let's say £100,000, buying a house. So you swap cash for property. The property goes up, let's say to 150,000. You sell the property. You now have £150,000. You seemingly made that cash from nowhere. The property's the same. The cash has then gone up. This is pretty much the same as what you're doing here. The only thing with metals that kind of not beat property, but there's an advantage, is you can do this over and over again more easily than you can with property. It's not impossible with property, but with metals, it's far easier. A few clicks and you're good to go.
So if there's more advantages in silver and gold than property, of course, with silver and gold, you can buy any amount you want. But when it comes to property, we're speaking hundreds of thousands. So the money is, there's less advantage, but the money is a lot more substantial. So what if someone was to put, 300,000-400,000 into silver and gold, and then they were to maximize that advantage with constant, swapping it silver back to gold, back to silver, back to gold. What is this? What is the potential that you could make on that type of return?
It would be very, very big. I guess these numbers that we're looking at here, you could look at this as a percentage increase. So you could say, well, how much has my 5,000 increased? It's increased by 784. You could add as many zeros to this as you want. So you could say, rather than 5,000 grams of silver, it's 50,000 grams or 500,000 grams. And you would just add the same amount of noughts to this. The principle is the same. If gold, let's say that if you can gain 10% by switching metals, then it's 10%. So if you've got £100, it's 10% on the £100. If it's 100,000, it's 10% of the 100,000.
It's still compounding, Nicholas. That's the big difference here. Because whatever metals you gain from your first switch, then next time you switch, you're switching more, aren't you? The next time you're switching more. So it's the compound effects working in your favor.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is great for putting your investment or whatever savings you have into this to store your wealth and just to have it there as a backup and security whilst you're making more money and building your capital over the short term and actually long term as well. But let's say I've now made a certain amount that I'm really happy with, and I want to buy a property, and I want to just cash out my profit. How easy is that to do?
You can have cash in your account within 2 days.
Right.
Very easy. Very, very easy. Remember, these are physical metals that you own. You're just selling the metals. And you get cash, you get the market price for them. You get cash. So very easy. This is not, yes, you've made 10% more metals, but you're locked in and you have to do this. No, these metals, you could make the extra metal and get the whole thing delivered as physical metal, a couple of days after. Yeah, you have full flexibility. This is why we like it. We're greedy. We want all the upside with none of the restrictions.
What you've said in the past, Adam, too, people could, if they wanted to, once they get started, what they make from the switch, they could take that out and leave the original amount still in switch.
Yes, they could
do that.
So this is something we've talked about and looked at. People could use it as a retirement, as a pension. They could build this critical mass, this pot of metals, and then they could switch metals, and the 10-20% increase that they make, they could then scrape that off the top and use that to live off. And then that you're not actually touching the initial metals. That those initial metals aren't going down. It's totally possible.
Absolutely. Well, I think silver and gold is the best. We have to play this game because the deep state do not like it. And they want us to be suppressed in their fiat currency that's backed with interest and debt. And they just keep printing, and we're enslaved with inflation. So it's great. It's a win-win, really. It's just us reprogramming ourselves to do this, to do what benefits us, we the people.
Absolutely. Exactly. Let me show you this, and not to be too cheesy, but a little bit cheesy. There's more. There's more. So we talked about switching at 51 and 59. Well, why did we use those? Because we've looked back through time when the price of gold and silver were actually going down. And during that time, as you can see, when we look here, a ratio of 51 and a ratio of 59, you had more metal at the end than you started with. Now imagine doing that when the prices of metals are going down. This is the ultimate kind of cherry on top of the cherry. So let's prove that to you. Let's show you how it works. So this is just the price of gold over time. So we've got 2012 here, and you can see, I think it was the end of January 2012. So if you, there we go. If you bought gold there, or you had gold and you monitored the price from the end of January 2012 to the end of June 2012, you can see you start here, you end here, the price has gone down, okay? Now, look, precious metals go up and down. This is why we call it a long term. Over the long term, that's the price performance that we look at. But short term, there's going to be some fluctuations. Fine. So that's the price going down of gold. Over that same time period, this is the price of silver. You can see here the same date, end of January 2012 and end of June 2012. Again, clearly the price has gone down. Now let's look at the gold-silver ratio over this time. Exactly the same time period, 2012, January, end of January, and the end of June 2012. This is a ratio of 51, and this is a ratio of 59. So if here you had silver and you decided at 51 you are going to switch your silver into gold, the price of both metals went down, as we saw in the previous slides, but the ratio went up. And then at this point here, when the prices had gone down, you decided to switch your gold back to silver. You would have more silver than you started with, even though prices have gone down. And I'm saying that a lot, but it's really important that people understand that you can make more metals when prices go down. And that would be a 15% increase. So I guess we could say, this is how you make 15% when prices are actually going down, which, 15% more metals. That's just after one switch. As James said, you could do that multiple times, and you would use the power of the compound effect in your favor. So let's look at a slightly period. This is your 51 and your 59. This is the first switch that we talked about. We've just compressed the data a little bit. So what you saw on one page is now kind of just on this first half of the page. So you would have switched silver to gold here, gold to silver here. So now you've made your 15%. The ratio then dropped, hit 51 again. Let's say you switch your silver back to gold at this point, and then you wait for it to hit 59, and you went back to silver. So you've gone silver to gold, gold to silver, silver to gold, gold to silver. You've done 2 full cycles and ended up in silver. Well, that would be a total of a 32% increase over, just over a year when prices were going down. And that's why we think it's so powerful that you can, all of this is about taking control. And buying, taking your cash out of the banks and putting it into metals is one step of taking control. The next step is then taking control of when price moves so that you can maximize and take advantage of it.
I mean, many of our customers are brand new to this. And this is why we did this too. They're brand new to this. So when the price of metals go down, they may get a bit nervous. Well, we know they do because they contact us. And we just have to explain to them, that's a good thing. If you've got spare cash, just buy more. And people are surprised by that initially, aren't they, Adam?
Yeah.
We always go, well, that's a great thing. Buy more. If you've got spare cash, buy more. Because guess what? When they go up again, you've got more metals going up.
Yeah.
But this is a way of just switching between the metals and not actually spending any more and still getting more metals, and when the metals prices go up again, you've got more metals going up. So we've just shown you the results in a down period. So guess what they'd be like in an up period, So
absolutely. Well, guys, I think you've shown an excellent presentation. I want to keep this very condensed to the point, and you've done a great job of that. I will leave a link below for the viewers to contact you and learn more in how to do this and to take control. I think it's fantastic. Thank you so, so much again for sharing that presentation. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish? Adam, you can go first.
I would say if you've watched this and it's kind of maybe made sense, part of it, but not all of it, please do watch it again. It took myself and James probably 7 or 8 times to fully understand how this works. But once you get it, it's very powerful. So don't knock yourself if you don't get it at first. We really didn't. And if you're struggling with it or you want some help, please get in contact with us. And we'd love to guide you through it.
And James, over to you.
Yeah, please share. That's what I would say to people. Please, if you like the idea of this and you get it and you see the value in it, please do what we do, what we did. Because I did this for myself personally. And then I went out and told all my family. Because I wanted to help them too, not just myself, and just spread the love, as we say. Spread the love and share it with your family and just give them the chance at least. They can tell you they're not interested, but at least you've shown them it. You've given them a chance to better themselves and be in a better place financially. So just please share. Don't keep it to yourself.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you very much once again, and I'll see you very soon. Take care and God
you
bless.
Take care, Nicholas.
Bye.